They destroyed my marriage with nothing but lies. One whisper, one twisted photo, one family member who smiled to my face while planting poison in my husband's ear. And for 6 months, I watched everything I built crumble. My husband stopped looking at me the same. His family treated me like a stranger. At church, people whispered. At home, silence replaced laughter. I was accused of something I didn't do, and no one believed me, not even him. I prayed until my knees ached. I cried until I had nothing left. I begged God to show me why this was happening, why the one person I trusted most now looked at me with doubt in his eyes. But here's what I didn't know yet. Someone close to us, someone we invited into our home, someone we trusted with our secrets, had been planning this for months. They needed me gone, and they almost succeeded. Almost. Because what they didn't count on was this: lies always leave a trail. And truth? Truth doesn't need to shout, it just needs time. So if you've ever been falsely accused, if you've ever felt the sting of betrayal from people who were supposed to love you, if you've ever wondered whether your marriage could survive manipulation from the inside, stay with me. Because this story doesn't just end with revenge, it ends with restoration. But first, I had to lose everything to find out who was really behind it all. Let me take you back to the beginning, when everything still felt perfect. We were the couple everyone pointed to and said, that's what marriage should look like. My husband, Marcus, and I had been married for 5 years. We met at a church retreat, fell in love over late-night talks about faith and dreams, and built a life that felt simple but full. We didn't have much money, but we had each other. We prayed together every morning, we laughed over burnt dinners, we slow danced in the kitchen when no one was watching. People loved us. His family adored me, or so I thought. His mother, Patricia, would call me her daughter and pull me into long hugs at Sunday dinners. His younger sister, Vanessa, asked me for advice about everything. His cousins joked that I was the glue holding Marcus together. Our neighbors said we reminded them of their younger selves. Friends at church called us relationship goals. And honestly, I felt blessed. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. We communicated, we forgave quickly. We chose each other every single day. Marcus worked long hours as a contractor, and I worked part-time at a daycare while finishing my nursing degree. Money was tight, but we had plans. We were saving for a house, talking about kids, dreaming out loud about the future. Life felt peaceful. Maybe too peaceful, because I didn't see the cracks forming. I didn't notice the subtle shifts. I didn't realize that someone in our circle was watching us a little too closely, studying our routines, memorizing our vulnerabilities, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Looking back now, I can pinpoint the exact week everything started to change. It was mid-September. Marcus came home from work one evening and barely said hello. He went straight to the shower, didn't eat dinner, and spent the rest of the night on his phone. When I asked if something was wrong, he just said, "Long day." I didn't push. The next day, he was quieter, distant. When I reached for his hand during prayer, he held it, but loosely, like his mind was somewhere else. By the end of the week, he stopped making eye contact. I told myself it was work stress, maybe a project gone wrong, maybe money worries. But then his phone started buzzing at odd hours, and when I'd glance over, he'd tilt the screen away. "Who's texting you?" I asked once, trying to sound casual. He said, "No one important." But his jaw was tight, his voice was clipped. That's when the knot formed in my stomach, the one that whispers, something's wrong. I tried talking to him. I asked if we could pray together, go on a date, just reconnect. He agreed, but even on our date night, he seemed distracted. He checked his phone 3 times during dinner. "Marcus, talk to me. What's going on?" He looked at me then, really looked at me, and for a split second, I saw something in his eyes. Doubt. He said, "It's nothing. I'm just tired." But it wasn't nothing, because 2 days later, his mother stopped answering my calls. And that's when I knew someone had said something. I just didn't know what yet, or who was behind it. The accusation came through a text message I wasn't supposed to see. It was a Sunday afternoon. Marcus was in the shower and his phone lit up on the kitchen counter. I wasn't trying to snoop, I swear I wasn't, but the preview was right there, glowing on the lock screen. "I'm so sorry you're going through this. I can't believe she would do that to you." My heart stopped. She? Do what? I stared at the phone, my hands shaking. The message was from Vanessa, his sister. My stomach twisted into knots. I didn't unlock his phone, I didn't read further, but I didn't need to. Because those words, "I can't believe she would do that to you," told me everything I needed to know. Someone had accused me of something, and Marcus believed them. When he came out of the bathroom, I was standing there, frozen, staring at nothing. "You okay?" he asked, toweling off his hair. "Who's been talking to you about me?" I asked, my voice barely steady. His face changed. He didn't answer right away. He just looked at me, long and hard, like he was trying to decide whether to lie or tell the truth. "Marcus," I said again, louder this time, "what is going on?" He sighed, sat down, rubbed his face with both hands. "Vanessa told me something about you and someone else." The room tilted. "What?" "She said you've been texting another guy, that you've been meeting him while I'm at work." I couldn't breathe. "That's not true," I said, my voice cracking. "Marcus, that's a lie. Who told her that?" "She saw messages," he said quietly, "on your phone." "What messages? I don't have any messages. I don't even know anyone I'd be texting like that." "She said she saw them when you left your phone at their house last week." I felt like I was drowning. Last week, I had gone to Patricia's house for dinner. I had left my phone in the living room while I helped cook, but I didn't have anything to hide. I didn't have secret conversations. I didn't have anyone I was texting inappropriately. "Marcus, this is insane," I said, tears burning my eyes. "You know me. You know I would never." "I don't know what to believe," he said, and his voice broke a little. "I need space. I need to think." And just like that, he got up and left. He didn't come home that night. And that was only the beginning, because the next day, his entire family stopped speaking to me. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the temperature drop? That's what it was like the first time I saw Marcus's family after the accusation. It was a Tuesday evening. Patricia had texted me earlier that day, just one line: "Family dinner tonight, 6 p.m. No warmth, no "hope you're doing well," just cold, short, transactional. I almost didn't go, but I thought maybe this was my chance to clear the air, to explain, to defend myself. So I showed up. Big mistake. The moment I walked through the door, the conversation stopped. Patricia was in the kitchen. Vanessa was setting the table. Marcus's uncle, Ron, was sitting in the living room. They all looked at me like I was a stranger. "Hey," I said, forcing a smile. "Sorry I'm a little late. Traffic was—" "Marcus isn't here yet," Patricia said, not even looking at me. "Oh, okay. Can I help with anything?" "No. Just no." I stood there, awkward and confused, while Vanessa moved around me like I didn't exist. No hug, no hello, nothing. I sat down at the table, my hands folded in my lap, trying to ignore the tension pressing down on my chest. When Marcus finally arrived, he barely acknowledged me. He kissed his mom on the cheek, dapped up his uncle, and sat down across from me, not next to me like he always did. Dinner was torture. Every time I tried to speak, I was met with short answers or silence. When I asked Patricia how her week was, she said, "Fine," and changed the subject. When I offered to help clean up, Vanessa said, "We've got it," and turned her back to me. And then, halfway through dessert, Ron said it. "You know, trust is everything in a marriage." The table went quiet. I looked up. He was staring right at me. Once you lose it, it's almost impossible to get back. My throat tightened. I wanted to scream. I wanted to stand up and defend myself. But Marcus said nothing. He just sat there, staring at his plate. "I didn't do anything," I said, my voice shaking. "I don't know what you've been told, but it's not true." "Vanessa saw the messages," Patricia said coldly. "She's not a liar." "I'm not saying she's a liar," I said carefully. "I'm saying someone manipulated." "Enough," Marcus said quietly. Everyone stopped. He stood up, looked at me, and said, "Let's go." We left in silence. In the car, I tried to talk to him. I tried to explain, but he wouldn't look at me. "They hate me now," I whispered. "They don't hate you, they're just disappointed." "In me? For something I didn't do?" He didn't answer. And over the next 2 weeks, it got worse. Patricia stopped inviting me to church. Vanessa unfollowed me on social media. Marcus's cousins, who used to text me memes and prayer requests, went silent. I was being erased. And the worst part, Marcus was letting it happen. But what I didn't know yet was that this was all part of the plan, and the person behind it was closer than I ever imagined. Silence is louder than shouting. That's what I learned as my marriage started to crumble. Marcus and I stopped talking, not because we were fighting, but because he didn't want to hear my side anymore. Every time I brought up the accusations, he'd shut down. Every time I asked him to look me in the eye and tell me he believed me, he'd walk away. We became roommates. He slept on the couch. I cried myself to sleep in our bed, the bed that used to feel safe, that used to smell like him, that used to be ours. Now it just felt empty. Our morning prayers stopped. He'd leave for work before I woke up. He'd come home late, eat in silence, and disappear into his phone. When I'd try to start a conversation, he'd give one-word answers. "How was work?" "Fine." "Do you want to talk?" "No." "Marcus, we can't keep..." I said no. It was like living with a ghost. And the worst part? I started doubting myself. Maybe I did do something wrong. Maybe I said something that got misunderstood. Maybe I smiled at the wrong person, or was too friendly, or gave off the wrong impression. I spiraled. I went through my phone 100 times, searching for anything that could have been twisted. I checked my messages, my call logs, my social media. Nothing. There was nothing. But the seed of doubt had been planted, not just in Marcus, but in me too. One night, I found myself sitting on the bathroom floor at 2 a.m., sobbing into my hands, asking God what I did to deserve this. "Why won't you fix this?" I whispered. "Why won't you show him the truth?" But the silence felt heavier than ever. The breaking point came 3 weeks after the first accusation. Marcus came home late one Friday night. I was still awake, sitting in the dark living room, staring at nothing. "We need to talk," he said. My heart sank. He sat down across from me, not next to me, and folded his hands. "I think we need space," he said. "Space?" I repeated, my voice barely a whisper. "Yeah, I need time to think, to figure out if this is something we can get past." "Get past? Marcus, there's nothing to get past. I didn't do anything." "You keep saying that," he said, his voice rising. "But the evidence..." "What evidence? A screenshot that could have been faked? A lie from someone who has everything to gain from tearing us apart? Why would Vanessa lie? Why would my family lie?" "I don't know," I shouted, tears streaming down my face. "But I swear to God, Marcus, I have been faithful to you. I have loved you. I have done nothing wrong." He looked at me, really looked at me, and for a moment I thought I saw him soften. But then he shook his head. "I need space," he said again, quieter this time. "Maybe a few weeks, maybe a month. I don't know." "Are you leaving me?" I asked, my voice breaking. "I don't know," he said. And that hurt more than anything. He packed a bag that night and went to stay with his mom. I sat on the couch until sunrise, numb and broken, wondering how we got here. But what I didn't know yet was that the person who sent him that screenshot was about to make her next move,
and this time it would be public.
They didn't just want to destroy my marriage in private. They wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone. It happened at church. Of course it did. Where else would the perfect stage be set for maximum damage? It was a Sunday morning, 2 weeks after Marcus moved out. I almost didn't go. I knew his family would be there. I knew people were talking, but I refused to hide. I refused to let lies keep me from worship, so I went. I walked in alone, head high, heart pounding. I felt the stares immediately, the whispers, the way people turned to each other and murmured as I passed. I kept my eyes forward, found a seat near the back, and sat down. Marcus was there, sitting with his family. He didn't look at me. Halfway through the service, Pastor Greg called for prayer requests. People stood up, shared struggles, asked for prayers for healing, finances, family, and then Vanessa stood up. My stomach dropped. "I just want to ask for prayer," she said, her voice trembling. "For my brother. He's going through a really hard time right now. His marriage is struggling." The room went silent. "He's dealing with betrayal," she continued, and I swear she glanced at me. "And it's been really hard on our whole family. So if you could just pray for healing and for truth to come to light." People nodded, murmured amen, reached over to touch Marcus's shoulder in support, and I sat there frozen, feeling every eye in the room on me. She didn't say my name. She didn't have to. Everyone knew. After service, I tried to leave quickly, but Patricia intercepted me in the parking lot. "You have a lot of nerve showing up here," she said, her voice low and sharp. "This is my church too," I said, my voice shaking. "You've embarrassed this family. You've hurt my son, and you're still acting like the victim." "I am the victim," I said, tears burning my eyes. "I didn't do anything, Patricia. Someone is lying to you." "Vanessa doesn't lie," she snapped, "and you need to leave Marcus alone. Stop calling him. Stop showing up here. Let him heal." "He's my husband," I said, my voice breaking. "Not for long," she said, coldly, and she walked away. I stood there in the parking lot, shaking, humiliated, feeling like the ground was crumbling beneath me. People walked past me without speaking. A few gave me pitying looks. One woman I used to have coffee with looked right through me like I didn't exist. I got in my car and sobbed. I sobbed until I couldn't breathe, until my chest hurt, until I had nothing left. And for the first time, I thought, maybe I should just give up. Maybe this was a sign. Maybe God was telling me to let go. Maybe Marcus and I weren't meant to survive this. I drove home in silence, walked into my empty house, and collapsed on the floor. "God, I can't do this anymore. I can't fight alone. I can't keep losing. Please, if you're there, if you care, show me the truth." And that's when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You don't know me, but I think you need to see this." Attached was a screenshot, one that would change everything. Sometimes God answers prayers in the smallest, strangest ways. I stared at my phone, heart racing, hands trembling. The message was from a number I didn't recognize. No name, no profile picture, just those words. "You don't know me, but I think you need to see this." And below it, a screenshot. It was a group chat. The participants, Vanessa, Patricia, and someone named Aunt Diane. The preview was small, but I could make out a few lines. Vanessa: "I sent him the screenshot. He's devastated." Patricia: "Good, she needs to go. This is the only way." Aunt Diane: "Are you sure this will work?" Vanessa: "It's already working. He barely talks to her anymore." My blood ran cold. I clicked the image, zooming in, reading it over and over again, my mind spinning. I sent him the screenshot. This is the only way. She needs to go. They planned this. They made the screenshot. They fabricated the evidence. They manipulated Marcus into doubting me.
on purpose. But why? I scrolled up, trying to see more of the conversation, but the screenshot ended there. Whoever sent it to me had only captured that one section. I tried to reply. "Who is this? How did you get this?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, a response. "I'm a friend of Vanessa's. I was in that group chat. I didn't know what they were doing until it was too late. I'm sorry, I should have said something sooner." I couldn't breathe. This wasn't just about me. This was a setup, a calculated plan to remove me from Marcus's life, so someone else could step in, someone they'd already chosen for him, someone who fit their idea of the perfect wife better than I ever could. And Vanessa, the sister I'd trusted, the woman I'd confided in, the one I thought loved me like family, had sold me out for money. I felt sick. But I also felt something else. Clarity. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't confused. I wasn't questioning myself. I knew exactly what happened. Now I just had to prove it. I took a deep breath and typed back, "Can you send me the full conversation or any other proof?" The dots appeared again. This time they stayed. "I'll see what I can do, but be careful. If they find out I told you, they'll come after me too. Thank you. Seriously, thank you." The dots disappeared. I sat there on my living room floor, staring at the screenshot, my mind racing. I had a clue, a thread, a crack in their story. But I couldn't just run to Marcus with this. He wouldn't believe me. Not yet. He'd think I faked it. He'd think I was desperate. I needed more. So I started digging. I went through my phone, my laptop, my emails. I checked timestamps, locations, call logs. I looked for anything that could prove I wasn't where they said I was, doing what they said I was doing. And slowly, piece by piece, I started building my case. But what I didn't know yet was that they were watching me too, and they were about to make one final desperate move to finish me off.
The truth has a way of crawling out of the dark, no matter how deep you bury it. Over the next week, I became a detective in my own life. I didn't confront anyone. I didn't scream or accuse. I just watched, listened, collected. I went back through old text messages. I found a conversation from 6 months ago where Aunt Diane had casually asked Marcus about his marriage, probing, dropping little seeds of doubt, asking if he ever felt like I was too independent or distant. I found voicemails from Vanessa asking invasive questions about our finances, our future plans, our arguments. At the time, I thought she was just being a concerned sister. Now I saw it for what it was, gathering ammunition. I checked social media. Turns out, Claire, Diane's daughter, had been liking and commenting on Marcus's posts for over a year. Flirty comments, heart emojis, stuff I'd brushed off as harmless at the time. But now it was a pattern. And then I found the smoking gun. I was going through my old phone, the one I'd replaced a few months ago after it started glitching. I'd kept it in a drawer, meaning to wipe it and donate it, but never got around to it. I powered it on, and there, in my messages, was a conversation I never sent. It was with a contact labeled D Blue, a name I didn't recognize. The texts were flirty, familiar, inappropriate, exactly what Vanessa had accused me of. But here's the thing, I didn't send them. I checked the timestamps. The messages were sent while I was at work, during hours I could prove I was clocked in, surrounded by coworkers. I had alibis for every single text. And then I looked closer at the metadata. The phone number associated with D Blue didn't exist. It had been created in my contacts manually, not from an incoming call or message. Someone had physically accessed my old phone, added the contact, and created a fake conversation. And I knew exactly when it happened. The night I left my phone at Patricia's house. I sat there, staring at the screen, my hands shaking. They'd set me up. Not just with lies, with fabricated evidence. And the person who'd done it,
Vanessa. She had access, she had motive, and she had the technical know-how. She worked in IT, for crying out loud. I took screenshots, I backed everything up, I saved it to 3 different cloud accounts, and then I made a call. Not to Marcus, not yet. I called the anonymous friend who'd sent me the group chat screenshot. "I need the full conversation," I said, my voice steady. "Whatever you have, I need it all." There was a long pause. "Okay," she said quietly, "I'll send it tonight, but after this, I'm deleting everything. I can't be involved anymore." "I understand," I said. "Thank you." That night, she sent me 12 screenshots, the full group chat, weeks of planning, messages where Vanessa joked about playing detective with my phone, messages where Diane promised Vanessa $10,000 once Marcus and I were divorced, messages where Patricia said she was never good enough for him anyway. I read every word, and I felt my grief turn into something sharper: resolve. They'd tried to destroy me. They'd weaponized my husband's trust. They'd humiliated me in public. They'd made me question my worth, my faith, my sanity. But they made one mistake. They underestimated me. And now it was time to bring everything into the light.
Revenge isn't loud. It's patient, calculated, quiet. I spent the next 2 weeks moving like a ghost, observing, documenting, preparing. I didn't tell anyone what I knew, not my friends, not my family, and definitely not Marcus. Because I knew that the moment I revealed my hand, they'd scramble, they'd delete messages, they'd change their story, they'd gaslight me harder than ever. So I stayed silent. I saved every screenshot the anonymous friend sent me. I labeled them by date and backed them up in multiple places: Google Drive, iCloud, a USB drive I kept hidden in my car. I pulled my old phone records from my carrier. I requested timestamps and location data for the days the fake messages were supposedly sent. I matched them against my work schedule, and sure enough, I was clocked in meetings, on camera during all of those times. I contacted 2 coworkers and asked them to write affidavits confirming I was at work during the hours in question. They didn't ask why, they just did it. I went to a lawyer, not to file for divorce, but to ask what evidence I'd need if things escalated. She told me I was already ahead of the game. "Most people come in here with nothing but their word," she said. "You've got a paper trail, timestamps, witnesses. If this goes to court, you'll win." I prayed that it wouldn't come to that, but I was ready if it did. I also did something I hadn't done in weeks. I reached out to Marcus's uncle, Ron. Ron had been cold to me at that family dinner, but unlike the others, he'd always been fair, blunt but fair. So I took a chance. I called him. "Ron, I need to talk to you," I said, "and I need you to just listen. No judgment, just listen." There was a pause. "All right," he said. "I'm listening." I told him everything, not emotionally, not defensively, just facts. I told him about the fake messages, the group chat, the timestamps that didn't match, the setup. He was quiet for a long time. He finally asked, "Do you have proof of all this?" "Yes." "Can you send it to me?" "Yes." "Send it," he said, "and don't tell anyone else yet. Let me look at it first." I sent him everything. 2 days later, he called me back. "I believe you," he said, his voice heavy. "And I'm sorry. I should have asked more questions before I judged you." I almost cried. "Thank you," I whispered. "I'm going to talk to Marcus, but I need you to be patient a little longer. He's not in a place to hear this from you right now. He needs to hear it from someone he trusts." "Okay," I said. "And one more thing," Ron added. "When this comes out, and it will, it's going to get ugly. Are you ready for that?" I thought about everything I'd been through, the tears, the silence, the humiliation, the nights I begged God to just let me disappear, and I realized I wasn't the same woman I was 2 months ago. I was stronger now. "I'm ready," I said. "Good," Ron said.
because the truth is about to blow this whole thing wide open. And he was right, because 2 days later, Marcus called me for the first time in a month.
The call came at 9 p.m. on a Thursday. I was sitting on my couch, staring at nothing, when my phone buzzed. Marcus. My heart stopped. I almost didn't answer, but something inside me said, "This is it." I picked up. "Hello?" "We need to talk," he said. His voice was different. Not cold, not angry, just tired. "Okay," I said carefully. "Can you meet me tomorrow at Ron's house, 2 p.m.? "Why Ron's house?" "Because I need a neutral place, and I need you to bring whatever proof you have." My breath caught. "Proof of what?" "You know what," he said quietly. "Ron told me some things, and I need to hear your side, the real side." I closed my eyes, tears slipping down my cheeks. "I'll be there," I said. The next day, I walked into Ron's house with a folder full of printed screenshots, a USB drive, and my old phone. Marcus was already there. So were Ron, Patricia, Vanessa, and Aunt Diane. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just a conversation. This was a trial. "Sit down," Ron said gently, gesturing to a chair. I sat. Marcus was across from me. He didn't look angry anymore. He looked broken. "All right," Ron said, standing at the head of the table. "We're here because there are two very different versions of what happened, and before this family falls apart any further, we're going to get to the truth." He looked at Vanessa. "You said you saw messages on her phone, messages that proved she was cheating." "I did," Vanessa said defensively. "Show me the screenshots," Ron said. Vanessa hesitated. "I don't have them anymore. I deleted them after I sent them to Marcus." "Convenient," Ron said. He turned to me. "What do you have?" I opened the folder. I laid out the printed screenshots of the group chat, the messages where Vanessa admitted to creating the fake conversation, the timestamps proving I was at work when the messages were supposedly sent, the affidavits from my coworkers, the phone records, and then I placed my old phone on the table. "This is the phone Vanessa had access to the night I left it at Patricia's house," I said, my voice steady. "The fake messages are still on here, and if you look at the metadata, you'll see they were created manually, not received from an actual number." The room went silent. Marcus picked up the phone, his jaw tightening. "This is fake," Vanessa said quickly. "She made this up. She's trying to—" "Shut up," Marcus said, his voice low and sharp. Everyone froze. He looked at Vanessa, then at Diane, then at his mother. "You did this," he said, his voice shaking. "You all did this." Patricia opened her mouth to speak, but Ron held up a hand. "Let him talk." Marcus looked at me, tears in his eyes. "I'm so sorry," he said, his voice breaking. "I should have believed you. I should have fought for you. I should have—" "You didn't know," I said quietly. "I should have asked. I should have trusted you." Vanessa stood up. "This is ridiculous. I'm not sitting here and—" "Sit down," Ron said, his voice like steel, "because we're not done." And for the first time in months, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Because the truth was finally out, and there was no taking it back. The days after the confrontation were a blur. Vanessa confessed. Not willingly, but under the weight of undeniable evidence. She admitted to creating the fake messages, to lying, to conspiring with Diane for money. Patricia, humiliated and defensive, tried to justify it as wanting what's best for Marcus, but the damage was done. Diane and Claire cut contact entirely. Vanessa moved out of state. Patricia apologized, stiffly, awkwardly, but it took months before I could even look at her without feeling anger. But Marcus came home. Not immediately. We went to counseling. We rebuilt trust slowly, carefully, intentionally. He didn't just apologize, he showed me, through his actions, that he was committed to us, to me. We prayed together again. We talked for hours. We cried. We forgave. And eventually, we healed. Our marriage isn't perfect, but it's stronger now
because we survived something that should have destroyed us and came out on the other side. If you've ever been falsely accused, if you've ever been gaslit by people you trusted, if you've ever felt like your marriage was slipping away because of lies, hear me. The truth will surface. It might take time, it might take patience, but lies crumble, and love, real, faithful, God-honoring love, survives. If this story encouraged you, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment, and let me know what you would have done in my situation. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because sometimes the most powerful revenge is simply still being here, still standing, still whole, still loved. Thanks for listening to my story. And remember, restoration is always possible.